Hello and welcome to the Chapter 5 test review. We're going to work through this together and hopefully by checking your answers that'll help you get ready for the test. Okay, this one we're given the equation and it's as a sum and they want us to start by finding the vertex, the x-intercepts, and the y-intercept. First thing to do here is to find the x-intercepts. We have multiple ways of doing this: factoring, completing the square, or quadratic formula. For this one I would choose factoring. So let's set this up and say we're looking for things that multiply to be negative 4x squared that add up to be 3x. And that's going to be 4x and negative 1x. So I'll put those in here, negative. And then this gives me x, 4, and negative 1. So my sum, or I can write this as a product, x minus 1, x plus 4 equals 0. Setting them both equal to 0, x equals 1 or x equals negative 4. Those are my x-intercepts. I'll put those on the graph. 1 and negative 4. The y-intercept we can find by letting x be 0. So in this one, 0 plus 0 minus 4, that's negative 4. So we have that point. And the next thing we need is the vertex. Remember that the vertex is always in the middle of the two x-intercepts. If we add them up and divide by 2, I think that would give us negative 1.5. So I know that's where the axis of symmetry is. That's where this is going to fall. And now I just have to find what's the y value, what's the height. So if I plug negative 1.5 into my equation, that would give me negative 1.5 squared plus 3 times negative 1.5 minus 4. This is 2.25 minus 4.5 minus 4. That's negative 2.25 minus 4, negative 6.25. So that tells me it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.25, and it's 1.5 right about there. Here is my parabola. Okay. This time, they've given us a table, and we're supposed to write an equation, and we're supposed to write it like this, as a sum. So remember, I need a starting equation. I need something that looks like this. And I can do that by finding the x-intercepts. Here's an x-intercept. Here's another x-intercept. So I can start by writing this equation x plus 3 and x minus 5. Then from here, I just need to pick some xy value to plug in so I can figure out a. I'm going to pick this one. So negative 32 is equal to a, and this is 1 plus 3 and 1 minus 5. So that's 4 and negative 4, which is 16, negative 16. So a equals 2. Okay, so in this equation I have a 2 here. Now the last thing I need to do is I have not written this as a sum, it's still written as a product. So let's change the way we write this. We'll do x plus 3 and x minus 5. So I have x squared minus 5x, 3x, negative 15. So altogether that is a sum x squared. These two go together, and it's 2x minus 15. Now I have a value of 2 in the front. So then I just need to distribute that. My final answer, 2x squared minus 4x minus 30. Complete the table and graph the parabola. So if we are given a table, then all we got to do is plot points in, figure it out. Let's start with 0. That's an easy one. 0 plus 0 plus 3. That's 3. What about 1? That would be 2 times 1 plus 8 times 1 plus 3. That's 13. Wow, that's really high. So let's put one of these down. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1 is all the way up at 13. So let's move the other way. Let's go to negative 1. That would give me 2 times negative 1. Well, negative 1 squared is positive 1, and that times 2 is 2, minus 8 plus 3. So that's negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So negative 1 is negative 3. How about negative 2? That would be negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 16 plus 3. That's negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. So I am here. It's not coming up yet. Let's keep going. Negative 3. Well, that's going to give me 9 times 2, which is 18. Minus 24 plus 3. That's negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. Oh, here we go. Starting to come back up. I found where there's symmetry, which means this is my vertex. Which means this next point is going to be right here because there's going to be symmetry right there. So negative 4 is also going to be 3. And so I can put my parabola in here. Something like this. And that's enough to get me the shape of my parabola. Okay, zero product property and factoring. So every time I'll do my box, I'll set up my diamond. This is going to be x squared and negative 15, so that's things that multiply to be negative 15x and add up to be negative 2x. Negative 5x and positive 3x will do the trick. And I do that so that now I can do my length times width. And I can write it as a product. That's really important. Make sure you're writing it as a product so that the zero product property will work. This equals 0 or this equals 0. X equals 5 or x equals negative 3. This one I need to factor, but before I do my whole box and diamond, I should recognize, hey, wait a second, that's a special shortcut. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. They're being subtracted. That is a difference of two perfect squares. 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. So either this equals 0 or this equals 0. So this is negative 2. And this one is equals 2/3. So positive or negative 2/3. And the last one, I could do a box and know that the C term is missing, so I can make C 0. That would work. It would be all right. But this is as a greatest common factor, and we always want to check to see if there's a greatest common factor. I can just divide an x out, and that leaves me x plus 8. And now I have two things multiplied together to equal 0. Either this one equals 0 or this one equals 0. So x equals 0 or x equals negative 8. We'll do one more on this video. Completing the square. Now this one actually technically doesn't really look like completing the square, but we can unsquare what's going on here. I'm going to square root both sides, but I can't do that while this 8 is here. I have to have just the whole side squared. So I've got x minus 6 squared. If I subtract the 8 to the other side, that would give me 9. Now I'm ready to take the square root of both sides, and I know that that is two things. It's positive 3 and it is negative 3. So this is going to give me 9, and this is going to give me 3 if I add 3. This one is more of your classic completing the square problem. I put my x squared here, I split these, half of them up here and half of them on the side, and then I think, okay, what would I have to multiply by, or what would I need here in terms of my ones to make this a perfect square? Negative 8 times negative 8. I would really love for this to be 64 to make it a perfect square. Right now I have negative 17. So I have to go from negative 17 up to 0 and then all the way up to positive 64. So I would really need to add 81 to the negative 17 to get me up to 64. So if I add it to that side, I also have to add it to this side. So this is equal to 81. So now this gives me length times width, x minus 8 squared, equals 81. So we have x minus 8 equals positive 9, and x minus 8 equals negative 9. So x equals 17, or x equals negative 1. That's all for now. I'm going to make a part 2 video, and you can check that out as well. Good luck.